Welcome to the new episode of All That Jazz. I'm your host, Matyash, and welcome to the podcast, Julie Ramsdell.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, how are
Morning.
you?
Good, thank you.
I was saying before the podcast, I love the paintings behind, and this is, I understand, your treatment room, right?
Yeah, this is my treatment room, and the photographs of nature are really appropriate, given that I think that nature is an incredible healer. So, my best advice to any of the people that come to see me is go outside, spend some time in nature. So, yeah, it's my treatment room.
Cool. So, what kind of treatments do people receive in this room?
Well, I do a type of sound therapy. It's called
Mm-hmm.
biofield tuning, and I work with sound, and I use sound to get rid of basically energy that's stuck in the body, and it's mostly stuck due to emotional blockages, just stifling your emotions and stress that enters the body. It gets stored in the body.
Yeah. Like, for example, me, I have, right now I'm going to university. I have a lot of trouble with procrastination. And would you say that's also a form of fear or some kind of stuffing in the emotional body?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I work in people's biofield,
Mm,
and another word for that is the aura. And it's basically all of your thoughts and beliefs. And so we have these distorted beliefs that we inherit by virtue of being a human being, by through our ancestors, or just your own thoughts that are given to you by your parents. So what I do is I work on removing those distorted beliefs and thought forms that are stuck in your field that would
mm,
prevent you from doing your work on time and giving it your best effort. So whatever's telling you,
yeah,
oh, I'm gonna procrastinate.
yeah. Well,
Yeah,
it's not just telling me; it just happens. I'm like, oh, I don't know what happened, and it's so. So let's go back a bit. So how did you initially get into this kind of line of work? Did you a lot of my guests are they start with spirituality like really young. So what's your background?
um, I guess my background is I guess I started. It wasn't. That's a really good question. I guess I've always had a spiritual way of looking at things. Uh, Relationships were always problematic. I think this is a harder question than I thought. Okay, meditation. Let's just
Yes.
go with meditation.
Yeah.
So I have what my firstborn daughter was extremely challenging, and so I was just not having any fun with her, and the regular medical model wasn't helping, and so I really got kind of enamored with Eckhart Tolle and
Yep.
A New Earth, and so that the power of now. So that really helped. So meditation really was the gateway for me. It's the I always call meditation the gateway drug to spirituality. You
Right.
know, because yeah,
So would you say that a person really has to meditate quite a bit in order for them to be proficient in healing or any kind of I guess it would help with any kind of profession, wouldn't it?
well, I think that there's so many distorted beliefs out there, like we were talking about before, and there's so much noise that's coming at us.
Yeah.
There's so many things that prevent us from being aligned with our true nature. You know, we don't live outside in communion with, the earth. We get all these influences that are distorted. We get all this programming that is not true. And so we tend to be other focused and outer focused. And it keeps us from listening to your inner voice, which I think has the answers that we're looking for.
Right. So the inner voice, meaning, is that like the guidance from God? Is that the same thing?
I think so. Yeah, I think that when you get connected with your inner voice, that is the one that we're all connected with.
Hmm.
It's universal, divine energy. It's the information that we're all connected to. And I think the illusion is that we're separate and that we're all kind of different and fighting each other. But when in reality, we're all very similar, we all want the same things. And I think when you can connect to your inner voice, you can't help but make better choices for you and for everyone around you.
Hmm. Uh, what would you say to somebody? Because I sometimes have this problem of like, I'm praying for guidance, what I call guidance. Well, what is my God's direction for me? And oftentimes I'm not sure. I'm like, am I really getting this as a wishful thinking? Like, I think I should ought to do. I think I should ought to do, or is it God's guidance? Is it my ego talking basically, or is it God's guidance? So how can you tell?
So, one of the ways that I've had to really learn is to put my attention in my lower chakras, like the second chakra. Like put your awareness down there because we want to get away from your brain. The brain is just a troublemaker.
Yeah.
It's usually telling us scary things, bad information. It's 24/7, just the bad news cycle. So I think if you can put your awareness down like below your belly button, second chakra, that's where our true feelings reside, the ones that are unmitigated. So if you can kind of inhabit the body more than the brain, and just kind of get comfortable there. And I think that the guidance that you receive, it's always quiet. It's not, and for me, asking a question is always key. Like you want to ask the question, and
Hmm.
then you'll have like some like little phrase that will pop in, and it'll be like, for me, it's almost immediate, and it's like, oh, it's just there. But I think so often we just forget to ask the question, and that's your higher self, I think.
Hmm. That's interesting. The second chakra. What's
Yeah,
the second chakra called again?
the sacral
The
chakra.
sacral chakra. So you think a lot of the guidance, or you should be more, or is it that you should be more grounded, or is that you get guidance from there?
Well, I think your emotions are
Mm,
always accurate, like you want to go, like the universe is always talking to us, and you want to go in the direction of things that feel good, that feel make you feel happy, rather
yeah,
than, if say someone asks, hey, let's go do something, and let's go out and have dinner or whatever, and you get like this that's your immediate reaction. that's
yeah.
that's a no. You want to go with the you want to go
Uh,
with the yeah, you want to go with the things that feel good to you and that lighten your energy, that give you energy. So that's the direction.
oh, I see. So that's interesting you say that, because oftentimes I'd have an inkling of this doesn't feel good, but I still think I should do it. So therefore, I would override the feeling and go ahead.
Well, I think that's tricky because, like, there's a saying that you shouldn't should yourself, don't go shoulding yourself,
Yeah,
because that's programming. That's the culture saying that in order to be a good person, you have to honor, I mean, honor your family. Sometimes your family, they don't deserve to be honored, to be quite honest, or that,
mm,
like, I just think that the messages that we've received are not always accurate. So when we should ourselves, it's usually from obligation.
yeah.
And spending time with somebody if you don't really enjoy it, may not be the best thing for them either. But I think there's always the part of discernment, the discernment of, well, maybe it's just my fear that's saying don't do it. And sometimes the fear is calling you toward it. Like fear is like, come here, go in this
Mm,
direction. So that's the part where you really have to get quiet to discern if it's your fearful self saying don't do it,
right.
or it's the obligation self. So yeah, because with the fearful self, there's always a little bit of excitement. Like it's, how they say, you're not just like we're taught to tell our kids when they're scared, oh, you're not scared, you're just excited. Because
Right,
they're
right.
kind of similar.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a little bit of excitement with the fear part.
Right. But it's actually for discernment, it's not the same. You have to discern, is it fear or am I excited? Because obviously they'd feel different.
Well, yeah. Yeah. I mean, and some like, so there's that discernment about, is it something that's good for you, which there can be fear in the way. So fear is always like that thing that, oh, I've never done that before. That could be an area of growth. Like for me, when I started doing Reiki
Hmm.
and telling people that I was a Reiki master, that was a big deal because I'm kind of this conventional person, and a few years ago, I think it wasn't as accepted as it is now to be an energy medicine person, which is what I do. And so that seemed like a big risk to tell people that, hey, I do this thing with energy, and because you just worry about what people think.
Yeah.
But that turned out to be really good for me.
So was that the initial thing that got you into it, Reiki?
So yeah, I started with Reiki. So my daughter was challenging. I did
Hmm.
meditation. I turned to an intuitive, a medical intuitive, to get some guidance on her. She was hospitalized
Oh, wow.
when she was in 10th grade for depression, and she was just doing all the things that you don't want your kid to be doing. She had um, just some mental illness type of things, a lot of that stuff. And and I had read all the books. I was going to be the perfect parent. I was going to, you know, make sure my kid was happy, and I have this kid who was just not happy, having a really tough time, and there was nothing I could do to help her. So
Hmm.
I turned to a medical intuitive. And in the course of that, she's like, hey, did you know that you're really intuitive and you probably want to look into, she kind of guided me into what would have been in my best interest. And she also pointed out that the marriage that I was in, hey, did you know that you're really not happy in that marriage? And I kind of knew it, but I didn't want to know it.
Right.
So it's really helpful to get somebody just to kind of read your energy, because we kind of get stuck in these ruts of, well, I guess that's just the way relationships are. And, so it's really kind of helpful to get that different energetic perspective. So that
Wow.
was really helpful. And so that's when I got into Reiki, and
Okay.
Reiki, I started seeing clients for that. And then when I heard about biofield tuning, that really, it just resonated with me. I was like, oh, I have to learn that. So it's pretty much what I do when I see clients. I do biofield tuning
Hmm. So
with
the medical intuitive thing, is that basically like just looking at your name and like picking up on all the symptoms that you have or somebody in your family might have?
exactly. It was amazing. I mean, it was a woman that I spoke to actually in Seattle, and so I had she read my daughter in a way that was so right on, and
Hmm.
she, and I'm in Boston, so it's hard to discount that, and it just makes you like, wow, that was amazing, and it was very validating, and it just like it made it. She actually told me that, it's not your fault. It's just the way she is, and so that was a big relief, because when you're a parent, especially with your firstborn, you just blame yourself. You think, wow,
Yeah.
I must have really screwed this up. But you get what you get with your kids, and she's amazing, and she's my daughter is amazing and she's my greatest teacher. Very
It,
challenging, but
right.
yeah,
Is she doing better now as far as health, I guess?
she is. I mean, I think, she's got a challenging set of circuitry. Her biochemical, inheritance that she receives is challenging. And it's ironic that even though she got me into doing energy work, she doesn't really want to have anything with me, helping her with it. She
Yeah.
won't even meditate for them. I mean, she's just like, no, I can't do that. So
Yeah,
luckily there are people that listen to me and do what I say.
I think that's often the case with family. I think family is probably like the last people on earth that listen to your advice on things.
Absolutely.
It is what it
Yeah,
is.
exactly. Exactly.
And I've learned not like through the years I've learned to just not talk about it because I've had an inkling like of what certain people would say, and maybe that's a prejudice as well. I know I realize it's a prejudgment of some people, but for the most part it's not. If I come out and say, oh, I think you should do a Course in Miracles workbook or whatever, people are gonna be like, what
Yeah.
is what is this new age stuff, you know?
Yeah, and I think it's like, when we consult our own intuition, we ask the question and then you get the answer. But so if people aren't asking you for help, they pretty much don't want it. You know what I mean? Like, unless
Yeah,
they're asking or they're saying, what do you think I should do? Then unsolicited advice, it's just,
it's not
I mean,
good.
yeah, I mean, you can say, hey, this is what I do. This is what works for me.
Right,
It really helped me. And then they can take it or leave it.
right. Because like then you're speaking from just your own experience and you're not trying to. I think there's a big difference between speaking from experience and lecturing.
Yeah,
And
nobody wants to be lectured
you don't
to.
want to lecture because that's not going to be helpful at all.
No, no, nope. Yeah.
So how did you get into then the biofield energy work?
Let's see. I listened to a podcast
Mm.
where actually the energy intuitive Marie Manicherry was interviewing. She has a radio show. She was interviewing Eileen McCusick, and I just heard it, and I got one of those. It was exciting. It was like, wow, and it was highly unusual. Like I'm just kind of destined to kind of be cutting edge, not I like new things. I like it just caught my interest and my curiosity, and I think when she talked about how using sound, you can work on people's pain body, which is
Mm.
one thing that Eckhart Tolle talked about. It just all kind of fell into place for me. And I was also a big fan of Donna Eden, who is, she's like the grandmother of energy medicine. And
Oh
so,
yeah.
all the pieces just kind of like chink, 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 chink. It just all resonated with me. And so I signed up for the class and I learned as much as I could on YouTube about what Eileen did and her work, and it just it just makes total sense. And it's been a great. I just think it's so fascinating. I don't know why everyone isn't just as fascinated as I am because I think it's amazing what we can do.
Yeah,
But,
I think people have such different interests that we just can't force it on other people. That's just the way it is.
right, right, yeah.
So is this work something you have to do like in person, or can you do long distance as well?
I do distance sessions. It works pretty much the same. Like I will just have my laptop here. I'll do Zoom sessions with clients. I actually prefer in person, but I don't know. I guess there's differences when you're doing it by distance. It's easier to focus just on the field of the person's biofield,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't get distracted by their presence as much. But I just prefer to see people, especially you can just get more information in person. You miss you. I don't know.
Yeah.
They both work though, which is kind of mind-boggling. And trying to explain how they work, that's not easy.
Okay,
But
let's go there.
oh no, don't ask me that.
um let me see. So is this based I'm trying to figure out, is this based on the feel of the aura, and are you like tinkering, like changing things there, or is it more based on going in the what do you call etheric body and changing the biological structure there, and then the body changes as a result?
Let's see. So everything that's in motion gives off a vibration,
Mm,
right? So we have all this stuff going on in our bodies that is in motion. And so we have all these organs, we have all these your heart, your spleen, your all everything. So it's giving off a vibration. And so when everything's groovy, when everything's happy, when everything's in flow, it's a coherent vibration.
mm,
And that's what you're giving off. And there is an energetic there's a biomagnetic field that surrounds us, and there's a double layer plasma membrane on the outer edge that contains your these waveforms. So we each have our own little force field, that our own little egg that goes around with us. So if say you have say you're really angry, um, the heart will give off a different vibration.
mm,
Like heart math has shown that, you know, the vibration that emanates from your body when you're feeling angry or hatred. So it's an incoherent vibration. And so that is reflected in your biofield. So when you actually work in the biofield with sound, because sound has magnetic properties, you
mm-hmm,
can actually manipulate those vibrations just by using sound as like a metronome. So the frequency of the um, the tuning fork is coherent, and so it's very even. And so when it intersects with an incoherent vibration through resonance and entrainment, it will start to flow together, and then it releases the excess charge that comes from the emotion that you're giving off. So, to answer your question, you can work on the field, and that's the blueprint. So, the field is the blueprint,
mm-hmm.
right? So, when you remedy the field, it gives the body information. But you can also work on the field, on the body as well with forks. So, this is a weighted tuning fork.
Okay.
So, you just activate it like this and it vibrates. So, it's giving off frequency. And then you would like put it on the body. You could just do like this. And so this is sending sound waves into the body that are coherent and opening up space. It releases sound, releases nitric oxide in the body. Um, Modern medicine uses sound in a thing called lithotripsy to break up kidney stones using sound. So you just send sound into the kidney, it breaks up the
Mm-hmm.
kidney stones. And so this is kind of the same thing. But and so you would put it on the body, it opens up space and breaks, and that creates more flow and ultimately more charge in the body, more voltage.
How do you like when you do long distance, does the patient need to hear the sound?
So it's really not about the acoustic quality of the sound,
Hmm.
which is interesting. People think it's going to be like a sound bath. It's not even that. It's so it's the intention
Hmm.
and the focus that so it's kind of like you know, with our intention, you can focus on a person's energy field, and our thoughts have mass, their energy, and because we're all connected by by the ether. So there's a substance that connects us all. Um, and so we're all connected. So in the same way that, like, you know, your brain knows when your toe hurts, even though they're separate,
Yeah.
we're all connected in the universe. So when I use my thoughts to connect with you wherever you are and using the sound, it just, because we're all connected, it's just focusing. It
Mm.
actually works the same way.
Could we do maybe a bit of a demonstration a bit later,
um, what
or
could I do?
or is that because I you know I think it'd be interesting. I never tried something like this before, and so it does seem it's a very interesting proposition. Healing with sound is that there must be like an ancient equivalent to this. They must have done this way back when, but we just forgot about it.
That's a good question. Yeah, well, I mean, I think it's the same concept as prayer, right? I
Hmm.
mean, when you think positive thoughts about somebody, they receive it. They might not be consciously aware of it, but their body has received it. Um, or, it's just that we are all connected. When the phone rings and it's somebody that you were just thinking about, it's because we are connected. So, yeah. I'm just trying to think how I could what I could do. I mean, what I could do is just use the sound waves and let's see, we could well, one thing that I did like three this I wouldn't want to do this on you, but I did three adrenal resets yesterday
Okay.
on clients. So just locking phase with a person's with the adrenals and getting their adrenals to calm down because they're overacted because of stress.
Right.
So yeah.
Well, then you wouldn't just be doing it on me though. You would be also doing it on the audience, right? If this is recorded.
Um, hmm. I'm just trying to think how I could uh what I would do. Well, one of the things that I know, here's what I could do is I could adjust your Earth star and your Sun star.
Okay.
So yeah, I could do that. We could do like a group tuning. So adjusting the Earth star and the Sun star is going to open up the energy flow in your etheric body, your energy body, which is the center of your biofield.
Let me ask you this: like, what is the most common thing that people, that clients when they seek you out that they have off in their body?
A lot of times it's just emotional stuckness. A
Mm,
lot of times it's just stress, not sleeping well.
yeah.
Um, just feeling off, feeling stuck, and just really not sure where to go. Um, so that's a lot of it. And then I get some people come in with migraine headaches, stuff like that. That works really well, just working on the body, yeah, to
Yeah.
relief.
So migraine headaches, do you think they're often caused by or almost always by like emotional underlying issues?
I think a lot of times migraine headaches are caused by blocking your intuition, not wanting to know what you know.
Oh my goodness. Wow. So would that be because I'm thinking of a person that I knew one time. So she always had good intentions, but would sometimes not want to see perhaps the bad side. So would that obviously could manifest as a migraine.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm, very
Yes.
interesting. I never thought of that connection, but now that you said it, I immediately thought of her. I was like, that's amazing.
Yeah. Because all of the thought forms, they almost act as filters. So they filter out what you can see if there's a blockage there. And
Mm.
that's why removing them gives you more information. It gives you all of the information that's available so that you can make better decisions. So all of the stuck energy that's in your field, it kind of keeps you making the same mistakes in relationships and in the choices that you make. So, yeah.
I want to ask you something because this is personal to me, but some of my listeners as well, is that people and I sometimes get bogged down with political stuff, and that's obviously highly emotionally charged and all that. Um, so how do you think? Let me see. How do you think would be easier to handle that? Would be meditation, or not taking such a strong position, let's say, about anything that you're talking about?
Super challenging. I mean, especially right now. I mean, I struggle with that myself.
Right.
I think removing uh, removing the emotional charge, as much as possible, and staying neutral and balanced when you're interacting with someone, being able to come from a place of curiosity and to stay engaged in the conversation as much as possible. Because I think that's the only way we're going to find our way as a species, really. There's so much polarization. So I think also getting clear on your own beliefs and feeling at peace with them, and also just connecting with source, knowing that, I can do what I can do, and some things are out of my control. It's that discernment,
Yeah.
and just living from a place of integrity, and not feeling threatened by other people's beliefs, I guess. So and then having the throat chakra, your ability to communicate without, like for me, just being more vocal about my own opinions. I think it's important that we do that, but I think it's highly volatile. So it's scary. I mean, it's important that we say and not hold back our opinions, but do it in a way that is, not belligerent, or
Yeah.
just being very calm and centered as you state your opinions. So,
Mm. Because I think I definitely lost friends on Facebook and otherwise on in real life, um, about certain things I shared, either on the wall or talked about in person. um, Sometimes there is an intention to like not only state what you think is right, but kind of uh, like a sword, like a mental sword, like take this.
yeah, yeah, like you want to win. You want to win
Yeah, I
the
want to be right and
conversation.
win.
Huh.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, how do you get like, okay, that's my big problem, I guess, and probably a lot of the listeners could relate with the wanting us to be right and to win.
Well, I think the other thing to realize is that, to every situation, there's 144 sides.
Mm,
There's so many different ways of looking at every issue. And depending on where you're standing, like the thing about the blind man and the elephant, right? If there's an elephant and the blind man comes up to it and he might touch the trunk, he might say, "Oh, an elephant is long and thin," you
mm,
know. But if he touched another part of the elephant, he would describe it differently. So I think honoring different people's perspective on how they see things from their life experience, and somehow having them both be okay, both be right, and both be valid. Um, I think that's an inviting all viewpoints to the table. It's not a simple solution, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's the only way that we can live in harmony and somehow have um, a, an atmosphere of, okay, we've got to work together. If I honor what you say and you honor what I say, um, somehow we can move forward.
Yeah.
Um,
It's
Not easy. It's definitely not easy because people are at different places, and um, but
yeah,
it
different belief systems. I think it's important to come from a place of good faith. Once you come
yes,
from a place of bad faith and argue in bad faith and talk in bad
yeah,
faith,
yeah.
then everything will be
And I think as leaders, as people who are kind of managing those conversations, like I think when the person who is kind of, you know, uh, managing the conversations, if we can all admit that, you know, I'm not perfect, like I've screwed up, like I do the best that I can, but I'm not perfect. But I think when people are afraid to admit that they're culpable, that they are to blame in any of the issues that are going on now, like we all have to be vulnerable in that respect. And when you can model that, then other people feel freer to admit their part in things. Because it's only when you can really recognize what the problem is, can you
mhm.
solve it.
Yeah,
So,
to have a certain sense of humility and not to think you're 100% right, right?
right. Yeah.
So is there any other modality that you use, a kind of healing modality or anything else in your practice?
I mean, I think I usually talk throughout the session, and I think it's kind of channeled information, like that I just kind of say whatever comes in as I'm working, and so there's an educational, there's kind of like the part of just education for people, like that don't realize that, first of all, you deserve to be happy. Um, that's, you deserve to be in a happy relationship. Um, just is kind of, I mean, those are kind of like uh, radical ideas that,
Right.
you know, that you should follow, your bliss, that Joseph Campbell says, like go in the direction of things that make you happy.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, not totally. I mean, we live on a 3D planet, and we have, bills to pay. And so you might have to do another job, but try to incorporate things that make you happy and go in that direction. And when you're living in integrity, then that gives other people permission to do the same. So,
Hmm. Well, what do you think, in your opinion, is living in integrity? Because that's a really fascinating thing. Years ago, I did. I don't know if you're familiar with Landmark program, but they are big on integrity and saying is doing what you say and saying what you do.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I think that that's so important that you speak your truth. And the name of my business is called Fifth Chakra Energy. So the fifth chakra is all about speaking your truth and listening to your truth. And when I did that, my whole life changed for the better. And once you kind of go through um, that recognition and starting to work in alignment with what your soul is here to do, then it's almost like you're unrecognizable to the people who knew you before.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
in a good way.
for
Yeah.
me, it wasn't imaginable years ago that I would be doing this. I just kind of stumbled upon it really, and enjoyed it and started doing it, and here I am. And it's fascinating. I think people, I think we're often afraid of taking chances because years ago, I remember, I don't know, it's a stupid thing, but like not a stupid, but it like 8 years ago, I remember wanting to take a when I was in London wanting to take a stand-up course, but I was too chicken to do it. I was like, but I thought it'd be fun, but I didn't do it.
Wait, a what course?
A stand-up course, like
Oh,
stand-up comedy course.
comedy. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I thought it would be fun to do it, but then I never did it, so I was like,
Well, I think we're all like these unique individuals. I study astrology and,
mm,
you just see how we're all so unique and what's going to make me happy is not the same thing that's going to make you happy or anybody else. And so, just taking the chance to be the unique unicorn that you are, and just whatever appeals to you, no matter how weird it sounds, is the way to go. And,
mm,
I think the whole age of Aquarius is all about being your unique, um, different, not following the mold and following the path that only you can do. Because if you don't do it, it remains undone.
right.
It's like, there's that thing that if you don't follow your bliss, then no one will do it. And that's a sad loss for all of us.
Yeah. Like you can go to healers or whatever, but like you can only live your life, by your actions. Nobody can do it for you. And that's
Right.
the thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I think that's the exciting and slash scary part of life because it's like, well, it's on you. Like you can do a lot of meditation and all that, but certain people are called to do certain things, and if you keep hearing it, but you're not doing it, then you're doing yourself and other people around you a disservice.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Exactly. Yeah.
What do you think about I often bring up the parable from the Bible about the talents because I feel like it applies to me in a way. It's a parable that talks about like one guy had one talent and he dug it in a hole, and then another guy had like three talents and he developed it and he had five, and the one that developed it got even more, and the one that hid one lost that one. So that
Yes.
what do you think
That's
about developing oneself and maybe even healing wise as well?
ah, because wherever your attention goes, energy flows.
Hmm.
So if you put your attention in something that is positive, then that's going to just keep growing from there. And yeah, it's often the case that people who follow a spiritual path, they end up branching out and like, oh, I like tarot and oh, I like astrology and it's just all fun. It's all it just you just never know. And it's constantly being surprised by what the universe has in store for you. But it's that thing about if you don't follow the voice, then there's a blockage there,
Hmm.
and that that's going to cost you because you're repressing a
Yeah.
natural emotion, and as the destiny of emotions are to be expressed. And if we have an emotion, if we have a desire, and we thwart that, it'll end up causing illness, or it's there's a price that you pay for that.
Right. For suppressing emotions and also for not following through what you
Right.
feel your intuition is telling you to do.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Let's talk a bit about astrology because as a teenager I really was enamored and like spent hours and hours like being into astrology and all that, and like this is a weird question, but what's the first thing like when you look at a person's chart? Well, what's the thing that you look out for most that you're like, oh, this is indicative of something very significant?
Well, I think in the study of whole sign astrology, which is traditional astrology, is what I study.
Yeah.
It's the rising sign. The
Hmm.
rising sign, I think, is more important in a lot of ways than the sun sign. So, I mean, they're all this, the rising, your sun sign, where the MC, um, and where your moon is, I
Right.
guess. Those are all important.
I know my MC is midheaven, right?
Yep.
I think my midheaven is Sagittarius, and my rising sign is Pisces.
That's what, really? Didn't you? I thought you told me you were like a triple something.
Oh no,
Okay.
no, no, no. But I'm my sun's sign and moon sign is Libra, and then but I have three other Scorpios in that
Okay.
left
Okay.
chart. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why.
3 planets in Scorpio.
Yeah, three
Okay.
planets in Scorpio. Yeah.
So your rising is Pisces?
Yes.
That's what mine is too. So we want to merge with everybody. We want, we're just like, oh, everybody, peace and love. And, we want to connect, and it's really easy. Like I feel like it's easy for Pisces to kind of get lost in everybody else's stuff. And um,
Yeah, for
it's,
sure.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
it's a bit like a chameleon sign as well. You're a lot more changeable and based on the environment you're in and the people you're with, I think.
yes, yeah, yeah. The rising is important. I have Chiron in my first house. So that's the
Okay.
wounded. So, I mean, so that's the way that you go through life. That's how people perceive you. That's what you give off.
Hmm.
But I also think the North Node is really important. Like the North Node is what you're growing into, what you aspire, what the area of growth that you're going into. The
Hmm.
South Node is what you came from,
Right.
like in prior lifetimes. So that's
Yeah.
what you mastered previously.
Scorpio
So
for me. For me, what I came from was Scorpio. And I still have a lot of that. Um, and what I'm going to is Taurus, which is, I guess, making a stable home, making a living, making a comfortable home. Is that it?
yeah, being very grounded, and the finer things in life, and having beautiful things, eating wonderful food, and just going into
Oh,
that area. Does that sound good?
that sounds good. Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's tied into like making money for yourself. It's not tied into other people's stuff. It's tied. I think, as I understand it, it's more about um, making a living for yourself,
I
right?
guess it would depend on what house your
Oh, I
the
don't
North
know.
Node is in. Yeah. So the houses are, so that would be maybe, so the second house is self-worth and money. The third house is siblings and learning. The fourth house is like
Hmm.
your home, your private life.
Okay.
So
Um, can we try that thing that we talked about? So,
sure, let's do
yeah,
that.
let's do
All
that. That
right.
sounds fun.
Yeah. I'm gonna do it. So if you want to I usually just start off with like a grounding exercise for people, and
Mm,
want to just let yourself um, feel the earth beneath your feet, get grounded, and you might want to focus on your breath, just breathing in through the nose. And if you can imagine yourself breathing out through the bottoms of your feet, this will just help to relax the body. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is use the tuning fork, and I'm going to set, so this tuning is going to be for everybody who ever listens to this podcast, for now and in the future, because time is a construct. So I'm going to be working on everyone's etheric body as a group, and imagining your hologram is in front of me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to activate the tuning fork and locate Earth Star. So the Earth Star is a chakra that is located beneath, it's between your legs, and actually it's supposed to be beneath your feet, but most people that I encounter, it is located between your ankles. And by adjusting the Earth Star, you're going to allow, so I'm actually in the chakra here, and I'm noticing some anxiety because every emotion that you encounter has a signature frequency. So there's a
Mm-hmm.
little bit of anxiety that I'm sensing.
Sure. Yep.
Totally,
That sounds
totally
about
makes
right.
sense. Yeah. Why not? So yeah, so whatever the tuning fork encounters, it kind of echoes. It's like echo low. It bounces sonar off of it, and
Mm.
it kind of reads what's there, but then it also entrains to it. So I've actually, so you might notice some pressure beneath your feet. Just put your awareness near your feet,
Mm.
and so I'm actually adjusting the Earth Star, and I'm slowly pulling it down because ideally it should be located about 12 inches beneath your feet.
Mm. Interesting.
That will that's your connection to the earth, to
Mm.
ground. Because as human beings, we need to be connected to the earth. So there is quite, so that the fork is kind of bouncing up and down. Actually, you can't see it here. It's bouncing up and down, and that
Okay.
is the anxiety. So whenever there's like a fear vibration, it's kind of a
Mm.
and whenever I do this work, there's a lot of breathing. The breathing helps to work through the blockages. So I'm slowly adjusting it, moving it down. It's settling a bit now. Just so much uncertainty in the world right now that so much going on. Totally makes sense that we're all carrying a lot of anxiety. But it's moving. I hear the birds in the background, and I think just taking comfort from nature is really helpful to us. Um, Listening to bird songs is going to help remind us of where we come from. And they're here to help us. Like nature is, it's really, it's kind of like our saving grace. It is for me, and I think it is for humanity too, is that we recognize, that we're in this together, and remaining grounded, connected to the earth, in our bodies, just being present in your awareness. So your Earth Star, it's now probably about a foot beneath your feet, and I'm shifting your hologram so I don't have to go over there. And that's cool because you can shift holograms around so you don't have to move. So now what I'm doing is I'm so there's a your biofield is a toroidal shape. So there's a channel that goes up the center of your being. And with my intention, I'm opening up the central channel this is a 528 frequency tuning fork. And just opening up and strengthening that flow of energy, and also at the same time connecting to ground. So I've got the fork in the Earth Star, opening up the central channel, strengthening that flow. So that's pulling up the negative charge from the earth. Really strengthening that pathway. And I'm just going to and I invite you to take some deep breaths and just exhale whatever is ready to be let go. I'm feeling some anxiety in my heart, my chest area. So that's just, feeling that anxiety in my heart as well.
You're picking up on mine?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And everyone who's ever going to listen to this. But yeah. So yeah, I'm feeling the anxiety right here. We're just going to breathe into that. Do one more. Good. So opening up that channel. And I invite you to just exhale and just allow whatever is ready to go to be released, whatever energy that we're running into. I'm actually going to use a different tuning fork here. So this is a different frequency. Okay. That's good. So now I'm going to actually go around and I'm going to work on your sun star. So the sun star is a chakra that's located above your head. And it's right above your crown. And so with the tuning fork, I'm going to, so that sounds sharp.
Yeah.
So I've got the fork right there, and I'm slowly adjusting this to be about the same distance above your head that the Earth star is below your feet. It's usually about 12 inches or so. Just slowly moving this higher, and this is your connection, as you might guess, to the sun. So as human beings, we need our connection to Earth. We need our connection to sun. And the sun is the positive charge. So we get the positive electrical charge because we're electrical beings. We're not just chemical and physical. We're electrical. And so the earth gives you the negative charge and the sun gives you the positive charge. Just strength. So I'm just adjusting this. And what this is going to do is it's going to strengthen your biofield, the outer boundary, so that you are more robust in your energy field and you're not as likely to absorb toxic energy from others. It's going to
That's
keep.
great.
Yeah. Right? So I'm moving it up. Taking some deep breaths. So what are you noticing?
It does feel more solid, like feels more solid all around. I don't. It's hard to explain. Feels more settled. Yeah, there was a lot of anxiety this
Beginning?
week.
Yeah. So now I am opening up the central channel. I've shifted your hologram because normally I'm working on people's feet and their head and walking around, but I can just move your hologram. So easy. So now with my intention, I'm opening up I'm activating the positive flow. So there's a bidirectional flow of energy in
Hmm.
your biofield. So it's coming down, it's coming up, and the energy, the electromagnetic energies are flowing like the spout of a whale. It goes above your head and it goes
Hmm.
around your biofield and then it comes up your feet. So it's constantly swirling around. So now we have the positive and negative flow, bidirectional current, spiraling energy. Let's take a deep breath, exhaling. And just focus on that inner core, just focus on whenever you start feeling stressed, you start worrying about the future or the past, just focus on pulling your energy into that central core, because the central core connects with all of the chakras in the body and it feeds them. So you really want just pull your energy in, and
Hmm.
you can do that with your thoughts. Thoughts are incredibly powerful.
Where's the central core? Like, is it?
It goes right up the spine and down to the feet and up around. So a toroidal shape is it's oval with a core in the middle. And the core, the central core, is what I'm working on. This is like your inner lightning rod.
Hmm.
So the more voltage that you have, the more energy that you have, the healthier you'll be. So you really want to up your voltage. And this is a very different way of looking at the human body by focusing on the voltage. But if your heart stops, what do? We put electricity in it. If we want to read your brain
Yeah.
waves, we do. It's an EKG or EEG. So we're actually working on the electrical charge and breathing, just deep breathing into your lower belly, those belly breaths, that brings in more charge to your body. So when we're stressed, we tend to just do lung breaths, like upper lung, and
Hmm.
that doesn't bring in enough charge. So when you're breathing, you're actually breathing in electricity, electrical charge, electromagnetic charge, which feeds your body. So that's why breath work is so important and so beneficial. And
Like
so,
full lung breaths instead of just,
yeah,
yeah.
yes,
Hmm.
that brings you right. It really just releases, it activates the vagus nerve, and it just really brings your body into, oh, I'm okay. I'm okay in this moment, into the present moment. And whenever you focus on your breath, you're in the present moment. And as Eckhart Tolle says, there really are no problems in the present moment.
Hmm.
I mean, unless you're being chased by a bear or something, or, someone's
Right.
chasing you
Right.
around with a gun, or, in the present moment, you know, there's very few problems for the most part. And if there is one, we'll deal with it. You'll move, you'll
Yeah.
run.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so I've opened up the central core, and that sounds good.
Hmm.
So I feel there's a bidirectional flow. Take a deep breath. Right. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the infinity sign starting your solar plexus. So this is one thing we do is we kind
Ooh.
of do the infinity sign, a figure eight, and this integrates the work that I did in just opening up your earth chakra and your earth star and your sun star. So the infinity sign integrates the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere, and now I'm connecting to the present moment. So now you're squarely located in the here and now, energetically. All right.
Right. This was quite something. Yeah, I feel quite better.
Cool. I didn't
Well,
expect to do that. So, yeah.
I didn't intend to ask. It just came to me when we were doing the, yeah.
You exercised your throat chakra really well. So good job.
What
You
do you
didn't
mean?
hold back. You just asked you. I'm kind of making a joke. You just were like, hey, could you do a mini session? And I'm like, okay, we'll do it. You didn't hold back, is what
Oh
I'm saying.
yeah, oh yeah,
You put me on the spot, but all right, we'll go with that.
yeah. Well, good. Thank you. That was. But I'm interested. Are you able to see when you're doing it? Like right now, we're able to see where the you said the Earth sign is. We're able to see where exactly it was.
So for me, it's more of a feeling, like I can feel when things open up by the tone of the fork and by the vibration. So I could feel the anxiety in the beginning. I felt the kind of similar in the earth, the sun star. They're very different energies that you feel, but mainly it's the earth star that gives you the most information. Like that kind of gives you the whole sense of what's going on in a person's body. And
Yeah.
you had a lot of anxiety.
Yeah.
Um, and what the sound does is it just kind of calms it down. It says, okay, we're okay now. Calm down. Everything's all right. And we can let go of that extra charge that's holding on to the fear. Because in the present moment, everything's groovy.
And when you were doing when the sound went really sharp, that's when you know, like, oh, something's off.
Yeah. Yeah, there's, different thought forms that you're or kind of just sometimes if people are just taking in too much, information, like too much news, that
Yeah.
can really block this because you're not connected. You're not connected to the natural flow of the universe. When you connect to the universe, everything's in perfect order. We're
Mm.
never late. Everything's, you're right where you're supposed to be. Um, we're not kind of constricted by man-made stresses, timetables, Um, so being in that flow is the ideal, connected to the sun and the earth.
Wow. And yeah, it does seem like I have a friend of mine, a good friend, who's also into politics, but periodically he will just stay off it entirely because he says it impacts his spirituality in a negative way. So he has to like get off it. Well, me, I get off like mostly I get just like kind of because he would get like obsessed with it, but me, it's more like I get kind of depressed by it, so I stay away and do other things.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. I recommend to people that are stressed, especially like during the elections here. I
Yeah.
just told people, do not do media. Do not follow the news. It's not good for us. I mean, we have to be really conscious of everything that that comes into your energy field, and that includes news, people that you're with. Everything gives off a frequency, and it's we have to put ourselves on diets where we only ingest what's good for us energetically. So go out with nature. And the more that you focus on your little world, on being aligned and being happy, it has the ripple effect. And you may think it's not doing enough and that you need to be involved in politics, but I just feel like if everybody went out and planted a tree and spent time near a body of water and just fed themselves, it would raise the frequency of your body, which would raise the earth's frequency. So
Hmm.
since we're all connected, every little bit helps. And yeah,
How connected is the soul's energy with because I imagine if you do if you do spiritual progress, if you make spiritual progress, that would affect the energy body that the aura that you just like worked on now, right?
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Because connecting to source is always going to give you true and the right information. You're always going to be getting, coherent, beneficial, loving messages.
Hmm.
Connecting to source. It's never going to tell you anything that's going to negatively impact you. I mean, it might actually say, "Oh, you need to go do this brave thing," but it's always for the benefit of the whole. because it's like the body is always trying to be healthy. And so what tuning forks do is to assist the body in its own healing. And so the universe is the same. The universe always wants health and, you know, wants the planet. It wants all of us to evolve. So when we connect to that energy, that information, it's always in the highest good of the whole.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I'm interested. What kind of things are you able to uh, heal? Let's say, to use that word, to this, because I imagine if you're not grounded for long periods of time, and if you're really really stressed for long periods of time, there's illnesses that develop invariably in the body. Um,
So we the things that biofield tuning is good for is mainly just reducing stress in the body.
hmm,
And what is stress? Stress is um, stuck energy. So that's kind of like the basis of energy medicine is just releasing, getting rid of stress. Um, so specific things like it can help with depression, which is stuck energy. It can help with migraine headaches. It can help with just arthritis. It can help with any kind of pain that's going on in the body. When it gets to be an advanced disease process, biofield tuning is not the thing. That's not going to cure cancer
right,
because
right.
it's too far advanced. So this is it's something, that is really great for things that, are more just stress related, which is really all illness when you think about it. But it actually is good for helping to heal bones. Like if you have a broken bones, the vibration of a tuning fork is going to help with that.
Hmm.
It helps with a lot of different things.
It might also prevent developing of cancer, because a lot of times cancer is I don't
Exactly.
know, resentment or like long-standing stuff that's
Yeah.
not been resolved.
Yeah, like heart attacks and lung cancer. We store unexpressed grief in the left side of the heart chakra. This is where your sadness, grief, and loss is
Mm,
stored. If you don't express that, if you just stuff it, and then this is where you store caretaking or doing for others where you should like overdoing for others. So that's why so many people end up getting heart attacks because they don't express their feelings, or
mm.
even breast cancer. Those are big ones, and it's because of emotions that are stuck cause issues.
I mentioned Dr. David Hawkins, who and he had this book called Letting Go, and that book talks about like if you want to let go of negative emotions, usually people suppress, repress, use escapism, or vent, like express the emotion. But his way is to go into it. So you either
Yes.
can go into a negative
Yeah.
emotion, or you can stop resisting a positive one. And oftentimes when I do that, lately what I'm experiencing is like there's I don't know, like certain neck adjustments or neck cracks or whatever, like that stuff tends to happen. So it seems like that's a lot of stuff right now. It's stored in my neck for some reason.
Yeah, I think just really listening to.
Hmm.
I mean, I always say that all the emotions are valid and they all deserve a seat at the table. That there are certain emotions like hate or anger, especially women, we're not supposed to have those emotions. And
Hmm.
we clearly do because we're humans. Like all the emotions are valid, but we don't, as a culture or different cultures, we don't allow ourselves to have them. And so, just by anybody truly listening, like I say, that's what I'm doing. I'm just going to listen to your body, find out, what's the most pressing, who's the neediest part of the body, and then we work on that particular area. So I'll work on like one chakra in a session. So what I did before was I adjusted the earth star and the sun star And then in a typical session, I would use energy testing to find out which chakra is calling out, which is saying, "Hey, I'm really stuck here. I have
Okay.
now." And so then I would comb in. So I would work at the edge of the biofield, and at the edge of the biofield is your birth experience. So if your mother had a difficult labor, for example, and you were stuck, you weren't born, or you had a difficult time, then that experience is going to be something that is going to be part of you're going to have, it's going to be an issue for you. So
Mm.
you might find yourself in other stuck areas throughout your life. Um, so working on the edge of the biofield, finding out what emotions weren't able to be expressed, working through them. And then as I get closer to the body, that's your current age. So like rings of a tree, all of your experiences are encoded in your biofield. Every experience, every emotion. So you can find out like at what age you had a difficult experience. So like I'll run into some stuckness at say 10 years old, and you'll say, "Oh yeah, that's when my house burned down and we didn't have a place to live." And so that emotion is blocking you, and it's
Mm.
like a filter. So by removing that filter, you can be more present in your current life. It's all the stuff in our past that creates us from being fully present that we haven't processed. So I'm not sure if that answered your question. I'm
Yeah,
sorry if I kind of went off on a tangent, but
that's fascinating because everybody has basically stuck energy in their body, and
yeah,
so this works that you do seems to
yeah.
resolve a lot of that stuck energy.
Yeah, and the theory is that what is stuck out there is biophotons. So that's your it's your light, right? So by releasing it, and then what we do is we move it in and then we put it back in the corresponding chakra. So that at the end of a session, people usually say, "Oh, I feel so much calmer," and they look lighter and they feel lighter
Mm.
because we're literally made of light. We're made of light, and so that's putting more of your life force energy into your body so that you
Yeah,
can use it. When it's stuck out here, you don't have access to it. it's
right.
it's it's missing, and it's you're not able to heal correctly because your blueprint is messed up. So in this way, by removing these blockages, we're helping the blueprint, your energetic blueprint, which is the basis of your health. So you
Mm.
want that to be clean. You want it to be clear.
Right. I certainly feel more calm than I
Good,
did. Um,
good.
and people maintain it, I imagine, with meditation and going out in nature and just taking care of themselves, right?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I always tell people just, so people need to do a salt bath afterwards because that helps with the detox. There can be a
Mm.
detox reaction because you're digesting emotions that you didn't digest before. Um, but yeah, usually I see people, we say come for 3 sessions and then we'll reevaluate, see how you feel because you can't cure everything in one session. And
Obviously.
then people will come for maybe once a month. I'll see them once a month for a tune-up, an energetic tune-up. Yeah.
Cool, cool, cool.
Yeah.
Amazing. I love your work. Is there anything else we forgot to talk about?
And show you my crystals.
Oh, okay. So you work with crystals as well.
Yeah. So yeah, so sometimes when I get really stuck, um, what crystals do is they amplify the vibration, and different crystals have different properties. Like citrine has a different structure than this is a Lemurian crystal. So this is
Mm.
these work just really well with the body. They hold information, and so by sending the vibration through the crystal, that helps to break up energy. It just helps the body get the information that it's missing. So yeah, it's called phonophoresis when you send sound using through a different substance. So you can you send sound through a crystal, you can send sound through essential oils. So whatever the properties of the essential oils are that are healing and beneficial for the body, like medicine, go deeper into the body. So it's just
Hmm.
helping the body to be coherent and happy and calm
Cool.
using natural substances. And what I love about it is that it's helping the body to do what it's supposed to do without pharmaceuticals or
Yeah, for sure. I
so
mean, there is a place with certain like antipsychotic or whatnot medications, but I think a lot of times people can, if they take care of themselves, and especially with alternative therapy like this one, that they can get better without medication, which would be ideal.
yep,
Yeah.
yep, absolutely. That's why I love it.
Awesome. This feels like a good place to end. I want to thank you so much, Julie Ramsdell, everybody. She does the bio field tuning and also other things, right?
Reiki, yeah, I bring everything,
Okay.
all the yeah, and it's fifthchakraenergy.com is my website. So
I'll put
you
it
just
under the videos and
yeah,
podcast. Thank you so much for being on the podcast.
great to talk to you.
And thank you everybody for listening and watching.
Have a great day.